We have one of our coworkers, Sarah. She lives in Brooklyn, and she did a client event out in Vale. She sent me a text message and she's like, I'm currently rethinking my entire life situation. Like, why do I live in New York City when I could live this? Welcome. We have an awesome guest for today, Madeline Griswold. I found her on Twitter. I love people who build in public. And the last time that I checked her Twitter, you're on day 50 of building a fashion app. So before we get into that, I have so many questions ranging from kind of your COVID activities to your background as a designer and an engineer. But I would love for you first to just give us an introduction. Tell us who you are and what you're working on currently.
Awesome. Yeah, happy to be here, Kenny. A bit of background about me. As you said, I'm background engineer and designer. I grew up in Southern California, started learning to code at a young age, and then since then have been building apps and websites since pretty much 13 years old. Studied computer science in college, um, tried out building a startup in college, and then decided to work at startups. So I've spent most of my career working at startups, mostly in the consumer space, and am now building my own thing, which is a fashion app to organize your closet and get outfit ideas from your wardrobe.
Yeah, I did download the app just because my closet is overloaded and it has no rhyme or reason. It's just a bunch of like random things. So I did check out the app. I love the onboarding experience. I know that you've been tweaking that a little bit. What part of the app do you find yourself refining the most?
Yeah, it's been a mix. Right now, I am going through the onboarding a lot. I would say the biggest thing that's top of mind for me with refining is capturing the right brand and general design aesthetic. So not particularly one page of the app, but more the visual identity and brand across the board. I've been thinking a lot about user identity and who my target user is, and I think the brand and all of that ties into that a lot.
And if you were to say today, who is this app built for? Like in our audience, who should check this out?
Yeah, right now, I found my best users are women 25 to 45 who maybe you go into an office every day and you need to look good for work. Maybe you're stressed, your closet's a mess, life feels chaotic, and you want getting dressed in the morning to be something that feels easy. So for whatever reason it is, like you want organization in your wardrobe. So really what I'm trying to build the app to be is to be this like calm, organized space where getting dressed in the morning just works.
And was there something that led you to like your aha moment where you said, this is what I want to work on for the next X amount of months or years?
Yeah, I started building this on the side when I was at my previous job, and it was more just something I would personally want to use. I was working in person 5 days a week, and my closet's a mess. Figuring out what to wear in the morning is crazy. I have so many clothes, and I ended up wearing like the same jeans and sweater every day. Um, so I was like, really, we can build a tool to make this easier. Like, how can I build something where it really solves the problem of what do I wear today and makes it as easy as possible to make that decision.
What are the long-term goals of, this? Are you trying to raise money for it? Is it just, do you want to run as a solo entrepreneur? What does success look like for you in like a year and 3 years out?
Right now, I'm pretty open-minded to either bootstrap or raising money. At the moment, I'm very actively focused on like, how do I build this myself? How do I get to a point of profitability? And then might reevaluate the fundraising thing 6 months down the line.
One of the cool things that I liked about your Twitter page and just kind of your building in public aesthetic is there's, I guess, a popular quote. I'll probably butcher it, but it's like first time founders focus on product and second time founders focus on distribution. And just from your first 50 days, I feel like that you kind of are trying both at the same time. I know that you've been using TikTok as a strategy, and then you also built your own tool to analyze like viral hooks. I would love to just kind of ask you about like distribution and how hard is it to kind of like build and just get the product out there without throwing a bunch of your own money into paid marketing, which is terrifying, right? Because you're like, oh, I just spent $5,000 and it's up in smoke. So I like your approach, but I'd love to understand how you landed on it and how is it going?
Yeah, as I said, my background is as an engineer and designer. So I love building product. I've done it most of my career. I've done it since a young age. Like building apps and websites is my happy place. But I've made this mistake before with things that I've built of focusing so much on products that I haven't figured out distribution. So I have been a little more intentional with this to really focus on distribution and make it a major priority for me. Um, as you said, I've done a lot of TikTok. Um, Started just posting content myself. And I feel like with TikTok, the biggest struggle for me is I'm like a very logical data person. My background's an engineer, like it's like very logical to write code. Whereas TikTok, it always just feels like you're kind of throwing stuff at the wall and like, okay, I'll make a video, I'll write a thing and see what happens. And like the
Totally.
conventional advice is post 100 videos and maybe one will do well. So that was tough for me. I decided to be a little bit more analytical about it by kind of looking at what's doing well for other products, what's going viral, what's doing well for maybe some competitors. And that's why I built that website you mentioned, just to, like analyze what's doing well across the board. Are there certain musics that are more likely to go viral? And then also just better understand my own content. And I have gotten to the point where I have at least some understanding around like, okay, if I post a video with this hook or whatever, it's more likely to go viral. So now I'm at the point where I have a few hooks that I'm like double dapping on.
Spill. I want to know. I'll give you a little bit of background. So, first of all, for Allfly, the company that we run, we have no idea what to do with social media at all. Now we're B2B, right? And B2B marketing is notoriously boring. And I feel like TikTok, you really can't be boring. And if we were to be fun, we would have to be so insane that it could be like brand damaging or dilutive. So one of the things that I found like fascinating just about kind of your approach to it, and building consumer is way different than building B2B, but we've struggled with like, what is a good hook? Cause you're right. You could put out tons of stuff and then certain things go viral for the wrong reason. We have one on our page that I told a story and I thought it was going to get like 100 views, to be honest, and it blew up and got like 500,000, which for us is a
Oh
lot.
wow. Yeah.
But I have no idea why it worked. I still don't know, even watching it. And then our two biggest ever TikToks and Instagrams were things that people got upset about. So we did this video where my old co-host flew to New York City for lunch and spent $1,800. And she recounted the lunch and people just raged on it. Right. And so I was like, okay, well, so if you get people mad, it'll go viral. That video did like 1.1 million. And then we had another one that was like similar where we did a review of a first class seat and people were just so upset in the comments. And so like the virality was like focusing on the negative, but I can't bring myself to just do the negative thing all the time. So I don't know how you balance that. Like you're more of a practitioner than I am of going viral, but what hooks are working for you and how do you think about virality on social?
Yeah, I've heard that advice a lot that controversy goes viral. I've even noticed like I had one of the best videos, there was like a word that people interpreted as another word. Um, and that helped it go viral, I think, because people in the comments were like, "Oh, I misread that." So sometimes weird things like that do well. But I think the first second hook really is important. So what text is on
Yeah.
screen? What is the person saying? I don't know if you've seen lots of creators would do like the FaceTime shake, where they'll kind of like move the camera in the first second, maybe move their
Yeah.
body, something like that to kind of grab attention. Um, so I've noticed, that first second, like grabbing the user's attention and getting them to watch, obviously makes a big difference. And then the other thing for my content has been the content that more feels like someone's using the product in their life does a little bit better than being more explicit talking about the product. So instead of a video that's like, oh, this app does this, more like I'm using this app myself, does better.
And have you messed around with like paying influencers yet? Or has it all been kind of on like a performance base?
I have some UGC creators I'm working with. So I hired three UGC creators that are also making content on separate accounts as well.
And do you have to pay those people like a flat salary? Do you pay them per post? How does the economics of paying someone in the UGC space work?
Yeah, I pay them a flat monthly rate for a set amount of videos plus bonuses based on views.
I don't know what we're going to do with ours. Yeah, we got really lucky with distribution. The first thing that we tried worked because we're B2B, we built an
Mm,
affiliate network. And so we basically went to like, we sell air travel
yeah,
for meetings and events. And so we went to other meeting planners and event companies and we're like, hey, your clients ask you for air travel and you basically say that you can't do it because it's complicated and it's a big product to make. And so when they ask, just refer them to us and we'll give you a referral fee. And we got lucky that actually ended up working. We started at 0 and we got to 130 companies that are sending us business now. But it cost us about 350 to 400 grand to build that in 2 years. But it's a good growth engine for us. But I feel kind of like a one trick pony of like, okay, that was great, but we could only get so far on the referral network. And so we've been messing around with social. So if you have any ideas offline, I'd love to kind of pick your brain on it.
I've been a builder for like 26 years, and seeing what you're doing in terms of building in public and sort of taking on that persona and then being in the socials and like pushing it forward yourself, I think is brilliant, because ultimately the coding assistant tools really are making it so like any single person can today chat their way to a large amount of products, just vibing, right? And it's getting more and more attainable for a larger set of people every day. So I think where this ends up is the people like yourselves that sort of have a brand, and a trust built with an audience, because anyone can do anything in 5 years from now. It'll be that trust and that brand that really bears out. So I think you are dead on the right path here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It is crazy how much the engineering landscape has changed in the past few years, and I totally agree. It's only going to continue in that direction.
Yeah, Kenny here, he 95% built an entire app that we sort of have like a playground now where we build apps, and some of them are in production today. And he's super smart, so there you go. But he's never spent a day being trained to code, so it's
Wow.
amazing to watch. Yeah.
Oh, he's paid to say that. That's very nice of you. But
Yeah, I get per compliment. We're up to 4 now, Kenny. Let's go.
So one of the things that we talked about before you jumping on here is that you were a waitress at a fake restaurant. First of all, this story is incredible. I read the story live, and then it's very cool talking to you just in this moment. But we are about to do a segment like "Where Are They Now?" In the new year. This is like a prelude to this. But can you give the backstory on you being a waitress at a fake restaurant? Because it's an incredible. I literally, in the moment, I remember where I was reading the story, and then now talking to you, I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah, yeah, that was definitely a wild story. When I first graduated college, I was working remotely and wanting to learn more about founding and startups. So I started doing a bunch of hacker houses. I moved in on to this house on the Upper East Side, called Edify, and it was like 13 of us in this brownstone, all very young, engineer builder type people building their own startups or kind of hacking on the side. Um, and this house actually originally went viral on TikTok, um, for someone in the house recording a video that was like, these are young founders today, and then showed, we had a roommate that was like sleeping under the stairs like Harry Potter, and then like a like war hospital room of bunk beds and people like shoved in. And then that went viral that it was like, this is what young people have come to today, that we're all squeezed into this giant brownstone, um, with all of us like young people building, trying to make it. Um, so that was a funny experience because it was just like a lot of energy all in this house, all sorts of
Yeah.
shenanigans. Um, One guy in the house liked making steak. So lots of days he would just make steak for dinner. And the whole house would smell like steak. And we do like a little steak dinner. And as a joke, someone was like, let's do a Google Maps listing at this house called Moran Steakhouse. So it was just the house that we lived in, but they put it on Google Maps as Moran Steakhouse, and we got us and everyone we knew to give it 5-star reviews and say absolutely ridiculous things like, "This is a life-changing steak. This is the best thing I ever had." Like all these people just wrote these like novels about the steak and how amazing this restaurant was, and like, "Oh, you can't get a reservation. It's the best place you've ever been." And then eventually it became this like pretty highly reviewed, elusive steakhouse on the Upper East Side. And they had like a website on the Google Maps where you could like join the wait list to get a spot at this.
No.
Yeah.
No. Oh my God. Okay. So you've lived my dream. I love a good prank. Like this makes me so happy to hear that you guys did that. First of all, the picture that you have on your website, you're holding like, we'll put it up in post, but you're holding, is that like a wheel and it says Moran Steakhouse? Like did you guys actually like, you guys made it look real?
Yeah, they went all out. A few of my friends from the Hacker House were the ones like really the masterminds behind the whole thing that organized it, and made those menus, got a space. As I said, there was this massive wait list for people waiting a year plus, and like all this like Upper East
No.
Side Facebook group rumor of people like, has anyone been to the steakhouse? What's going on? And it's fake. And then eventually we're like, for one day only, we're gonna make it real. And they get this space like in Soho that like Beyonce has had photo shoots at, and they had some connection where we got access to this beautiful, crazy space. And we email people like, "Oh, you finally got off the wait list at our like secondary location."
Did you guys make money on it?
No, I think it was like, I mean, they didn't like as a waitress, they obviously didn't pay anyone. Like we were all helping out, a team of us as volunteers. I think someone even dining was like, the math here doesn't like someone dining said we weren't even charging enough because they were like, look at all the people here. Like there are a few people that were suspicious. Um,
Oh my God. That's
And this was
incredible.
before the days of Nana Banana, when it was, you can make a menu in 20 seconds.
yeah. Yeah, they had these like
No,
wood, as you said, wood circle menus, and I would come up to the table and say this ridiculous story about the bovine circle of life, and um like I had this like spiel about the menu, that really sold it, and it was supposed to be a all about the cow's life, and you had to get milk with the steak, and just all these ridiculous things, like almost like poking fun at fine dining a little bit.
oh, that's amazing.
Brilliant.
And did you keep it composed the entire time? Like, were you weren't like laughing and like cracking up, like when you were there serving at the fake restaurant? I guess it feels real if people are like going to dine and pay you, but did you crack it all, or did you keep it like straight face the entire time?
No, we were all pretty serious about it. People took it very seriously. Yeah, I I was running around taking orders. There was one customer that was like very upset that the food was late, so I had to like very customer service politely deal with that and like give them free food, and um
Give
yeah,
them free food
That's
from a
so
fake
great.
restaurant.
That's
yeah.
Such
so
an
great.
incredible story. That's incredible. Oh my God. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. When I saw it on you've done a lot of cool things, and like the TED Talk, me and the team watched that. That was very cool. But when I saw this, I was
Had
like,
my wife in tears. I'm going to be honest there.
Oh,
We got some tears. She was like, "Oh, nice."
that's so
okay,
sweet.
I do want to just chat about the TED Talk that you gave. It's actually has a ton of views, like what, 98,000, right? I believe the last time that I checked. Super cool. I love the speech, but there's one thing that I connected with very specifically because, as you could tell, or you may have caught, I stutter. And you have this line in the back half of your speech where you talked about having a speech impediment. And when talking to you and hearing you, I was like, what? I can't tell, but do you mind sharing about like what you did to overcome? Because obviously I run a podcast and I have a stutter and I've, spoken on stage like you have, but I love to kind of talk about that angle. Like, what did you have to do to overcome what you had? And because you're a great speaker. So it was kind of shocking to hear you say that. I was like, wait, what? And I rewound it a bunch of times. I was like, she's phenomenal. So do you care to share?
Yeah, yeah, happy to talk about it more. I did have a speech impediment more as a kid. I struggled to kind of say the R sound and like sometimes would just mispronounce words. So I talked about that a little bit in my talk that like I was made fun of that a lot as a kid. Like people would ask what country I'm from or if I have an accent. And yeah, eventually I don't really know if there was one thing that like helped with it. I think eventually I did got get to an age where I wasn't mispronouncing things, but yeah, most of like my childhood, I was dealing with that.
And just aside from that, I thought that you were so composed on stage. You're such a good speaker and your pacing and everything was so good. Did you practice a lot for that?
I did the TED Talk through my university. I did it at TEDx Brown, and they had a program where, you essentially had to apply, given your speech. It was a long process. Memorized it and rehearsed a few times before. Make sure you had it fully memorized before presenting.
Oh, so you didn't have any like show notes or like teleprompters that were in the distance? You had to memorize that entire thing?
You had it fully memorized. Yeah. And it got to the point where
Wow.
they actually recommended having it memorized months before the talk. So then by the time you gave the talk, it came off the cuff. Because there's something where if it's just to the point of memorization, then it almost feels too rigid because you're trying to think
Yeah.
about the lines. And at that point, it's better to not have it memorized. So we had to have it memorized far enough ahead that you knew it so well that it kind of came out naturally.
That's cool. Yeah, I thought it was great. So like kudos. We'll put it in the show notes. It's definitely it's definitely worth your time. I would say it was very good and inspiring. Changing gears a little bit, you've worked on a bunch of different things from a design perspective. I'm a sucker for good design. I thought the design of Stanza was pretty slick. Is there something in your portfolio where you're most proud of?
Honestly, I like Stanza a lot as well. I think the thing I'm most proud of would probably be my first real startup that I did in college. It was called Czar, and it was a secondhand marketplace for college students. So I ran that for about a year and a half with my college best friend, um, and launched it at Brown, scaled it to a few thousand users on campus, plus a few other schools. And I just obsessed over it. It was during COVID and I didn't have much else to do. So my senior year of college, I was building this website full time. And um I was really this was one of the projects where I did focus more on product and did get to a point where I was really happy with the product that I built there.
Did you guys end up selling it, shutting it down? What was the outcome?
Yeah, we ended up just shutting it down. It got to the point where, as I said, it grew and people were using it, but we weren't making any money on it. So we had good amount of purchases, but it varied. Like some people selling furniture, kind of especially around end of the semester, and then regularly people selling clothes. But the clothes purchases were often like $5 t-shirts, and it was hard to take a cut. So
Yeah.
just business model wise, after we graduated, we eventually moved away from that.
When you were building it, did you think that you were going to make money on it, or were you just kind of building it to learn and because it was COVID and there was nothing else to do? So it's like, occupies my time kind of nicely.
No, we were very serious about it. It was, as I said, it was our senior year of college. We got a YC interview actually for the
Mm.
company. And we're thinking about other ways to monetize as well, like selling to schools, business partnerships, ads, like kind of trying to think through strategies there.
How was the YC interview?
It was good. It's quick. I've had two YC interviews now. One for that and then one for Stanza, as you mentioned. Very rapid fire. I think they care a lot about like the dynamics between the two
Were
people as well.
were you alone when you're interviewing, or did you have a co-founder, or how was that?
Yeah. I had a co-founder both times I got an interview. I don't think YC loves solo founders. Um, as I said, for Czar, the second-hand marketplace, my co-founder was my college best friend. So I think that was honestly another reason why they liked us was like we knew each other really well,
Mm.
and we had a good dynamic between the two of us.
And did you end up getting in for Stanza?
We did not, no.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's hard. And now I feel like YC has even elevated itself. I mean, it's always been like the thing, right? But now I feel like it's even like bigger and badder. And it almost is the only thing that matters. Like you never even hear as much about any of the other accelerators that aren't YC, which I feel like you used to hear more about like, Jason Calacanis's thing or some of the other ones, but it's really just like why it's like YC kind of gets you like minted. I feel like even more now than ever.
Yeah, I think the other big ones right now, like A16Zs and
Oh,
HF0 are also pretty.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that there's like speed run and some of those that are like, like pretty well funded too. Okay. During your kind of hacker house days, you lived in a bunch of different spots. We have a travel background. Favorite city that you've spent a significant amount of time in?
Ooh, kind of random answer. I loved Boulder, Colorado. Um, I did a house there where it was a bunch of people in tech, but we marketed it as more of like a nature art house. And we all worked during the day and then went on hikes and did different art activities. And
Oh.
everyone there was just so happy. Like we really didn't didn't know what to expect, but walking around, we're like, why is everyone's outside walking, smiling, coming from lots of cities. It was a fun change of pace.
Yeah, we have one of our coworkers, Sarah. She lives in Brooklyn, and she did a client event out in Vale. And when she was out there, she was horseback riding and hiking and just spending her time outdoors because it's beautiful. And she sent me a text message, and she's like, "I'm currently rethinking my entire life situation. Like, why do I live in New York City when I could live this?" But ultimately she went back to New York. I think that she loves it, but it is cool. Like once you get out there and you're in nature. I spent the last 2 summers in Lake Tahoe, and there is just something cool about just being out in nature, being outside. So much of our time is like spent on screens and doing this and that and running the rat race. There is something nice about being outside. So Boulder, it's not like as techy as you would think, but I get the allure to it because it is a nice balance to like, especially for
Isn't it
builders,
cold
right?
there though for like a large part of the year? Like really cold?
It does get pretty snowy. We went in like October, which was also peak fall, a very nice time of year
Oh,
to go.
okay. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
because Boulder now, I was just watching a video. There's no snow in Park City. There's very little snow in Denver. People are like, "Where is the snow?" It's just getting like warm, and it's like shrinking the ski
Oh,
seasons
wow.
there. I mean, December is always a little bit suspect anyway, but there's like almost no snow in Park City right now, like this morning. I think they only have 4 lifts open, like 4 or 7 lifts open in all of Park City,
I think
which
I
is
think what's
crazy.
happening is we're trading no snow, which is sad. But I think now all the hurricanes get blown away from Florida because the weather's shifted. So, some win, some lose.
Yeah, well, that's good for us in Florida because we couldn't
Yeah.
take much more. I mean, Tampa was about to be gone if it had
Oh,
another
yeah.
year like the last two. Or like that's bad.
Need a little break.
Madeline, you're up in New York City now. Is that right?
I am. Yeah,
Do you like living in the city?
I do. Yeah, I'm in Williamsburg and mostly there for, I think, the best parts of the community in the city.
Yeah. Yeah, I spent some time in Brooklyn a few months ago, and it was my first time, and I was like, I get it. It was like cool and young and hip, and it's different than like Manhattan. I was like, I get why people dig Brooklyn. Like it was cool.
Yeah, I enjoy Brooklyn.
It's awesome. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Do you want to give a final plug for your app and just kind of pitch people why they should download it, how they get to it, what platforms it's available on? Give us the rundown.
Yeah, my app is called Vesta Wardrobe on the Apple App Store, and definitely recommend checking it out if you want outfit ideas from your wardrobe, you want to make it easier to get dressed in the morning, and see everything that you own. So, Vesta Wardrobe.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. And yeah, please check out her website. We'll put it in the show notes, and have a very Merry Christmas.